Alrighty, so as sort of like a, I guess like filler episode up until the ReZero collab comes out, I don't really have anything that I wanted to make a super specific video on, so I figured today would be a good time to do an updated box showcase or sort of like account showcase with my characters and everything like that. The last one that I did was on June 21st of last year, so it has almost been 9 months at this point, or actually I think it's almost been 11 months because it's getting really close to June because it's next month. So anyways, let's hop in. If I'm not mistaken, it says I had 1.2 million box CC back then. So over 11 months of playing the game, I now have 4.4 million box CC, which is definitely a huge improvement. And I've definitely set out to do a couple of like goals and everything like that with my box that I have been able to sort of accomplish. So the main goal that I ended up doing pretty much like right before I did my showcase last time is I was working on getting all of my characters up to at least UR 60. And there's quite a few, like there's two exceptions to this that I really like. I kind of messed up on, like, because I wanted all of my characters to be UR 60. I probably should have left this Liz right here at a lower sort of level and maybe not have gotten her to UR. But at the same time, like, it was just one of those things where I was like, man, I really want to sort of like, I really want them all to be UR at least. And then for some reason I ended up leveling up her to 60, and because I was trying to make sure that I got all of my characters fully awakened to 6-star units, I ended up going through the box. Like, I would just click on a character and I would just like click next and see if I had the materials for it, and then next and next and next, and without realizing it, I ended up upgrading her a couple of times, which was definitely a bad move. The blue Fraudrin, I actually fully maxed him out as far as his stars go, which I think I regret more than anything, like more than the Liz. Like, I definitely should have kept him not as super awakened, or not awakened at all if possible, and then I pushed him up to UR 60 as well, which I think was kind of a mistake, because there's quite a few times in like PvE scenarios, or even like funny like PvE or PvP teams or brawl teams or something like that, where I could have used those units as super weak and use their passive to sort of like make, you know, a gimmicky team to get past certain things. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with like how everything has sort of progressed. I have quite a few demon materials, and I've been slowly trying to push a lot of the characters up past 60 if possible. But you can see it's quite a ways from the bottom before I actually start getting characters to 65, 70. And a lot of these characters that I didn't just go ahead and put all the way up to 80 is just because I was either using them for like reverse stages. Like Arden is a big reverse stage character in either season 1 or 2. I can't remember exactly. Dogetto is the same. I think I ended up pushing up this Griamore a little bit because I needed him for reverse stages. Alioni is a pretty good just like support style unit, like a back slot sort of like 4th character that you can put on certain PvE teams. If I'm not mistaken, I pushed him and Twiggo up at the same time, and at this point I have gotten Twiggo all the way up to level 80 at this point, so I probably should do the same for Alioni as well. But I just really haven't been too worried about it. I haven't used Alioni in a while for anything, so he's not really been bringing my CC down on like a team sort of basis. The only reason I have Derriere pushed up to 65 is because I was whenever Red Derriere and Green Derriere both came out as like the double sort of double banner that they did on their release, I was like, oh, like I don't know if Green Derriere is any good, but I'm gonna level her up. So I had the materials to get her to level 65 at the time, and I just completely like skipped it, never worried about it ever again. Which could be a fun project. I think Green Derriere is a little interesting as a character, especially with her passive restricting, I think it's card movement or whatever. No enemies can fill ultimate move gauge orbs by moving skills. It's actually pretty helpful on some Assault Mode Meliodas team compositions. So that could be like a fun unit that I could push up just to get a little bit of use out of, maybe. Other than that, any of these characters that I'm really like, I don't think any of these characters I'm super worried about pushing up. I would like to play with these slime collab units, to be honest, but there's really just not a whole lot to these units. Like, they're really lackluster. They don't have a lot of like, I didn't buy any other outfits at the time because I really wasn't spending any money on the game whenever they came out. I don't know, like, they're kind of cool. They're honestly just box CC. Like, they just sit in the box. They don't do anything for me. I don't plan on using them for anything. I don't think they're really good for anything. And then other than that, I really don't think any of these characters are super great for anything. I remember this character being really good for, I want to say the slime collab had it was either the slime collab or the one after it. I don't remember. I think it was slime collab, but there was some sort of raid boss that you could use. This blue Deanne was like really good for it because he buffed himself and she had a rupture skill. I think there's too many other units with rupture skills at this point that are way better than she is, so I think she's an interesting unit, but probably not worth investing into at this point. Jillian is another decent like support hero for like green teams because of her passive. I could try to boost her up for certain circumstances. This blue Jericho is kind of interesting, but she's like a seasonal unit. I don't really think she's actually good for anything. Other than that, maybe this red Liz needs to be pushed up for her passive because it's pretty helpful for certain things. Other than that, all these units, red Griamore is kind of a decent like PvE like subslot, but yeah, the rest of these are kind of like lackluster units that I'm really just not worried about. Green Fraudrin might be one that's kind of interesting, but his whole gimmick is you need his CC to be higher than other characters, kind of like Ludo's passive is. But yeah, I don't want to buy costumes for him, and I don't remember what his ultimate's at. Yeah, I've not put any ultimates into him, so it'd be kind of a wasted investment, I think, at this point. Like, it could be like a funny gimmick if I had copies of his ultimate, but yeah, I don't really think I'm that worried about using it. Gerard is kind of interesting because she has an AoE that can disable stances. It's very niche, very like you could use it maybe once in a while. I actually would like to super awaken this Melee because he's like a universal, like associated unit. Like, if like collab units or just even random units sort of use him as like a base mode Meliodas sort of association. So he's actually very helpful in that regard. That's the only reason I've pushed him all the way up to level 80 at this point. Plus I can just I can use my UR Meliodas set on him if he's an association for a team that already doesn't use Lost Vein or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of interesting. I remember I pushed Deanne up not too long ago. I don't remember if there was any specific reason why. I really like this Deanne. I ended up buying this outfit literally just because I like Deanne. I think she's a really cool character, but yeah, honestly don't think there's really any like good giant Deanne units in the game at this point. Like, this blue one is probably the best giant Deanne, but pretty lackluster at this point in the game. Bond got shafted. He literally has like no good units except for this green one. I still every once in a while, like once in a blue moon, I'll actually find a PvP team where they use this, and I'm always super happy whenever I go against a PvP team with this green Bond and they beat me. Like, I'm so happy for that person. like I want to super awaken him just for the fun of it, just to kind of use him in like funny like ungeared team comps and everything like that. But I just can't push myself to do it, honestly. It doesn't seem like a really like worthy investment. I pushed up this blue Gother, actually. He's kind of an interesting one to talk about just because of his, I think it's his regular attack card, maybe. It's a weak point. No, not this one. I think it's Blackout. Disables debuff skills, and then at level 2, decreases attack of all enemies by 20%, and then disables debuff and buff skills for 2 turns, and then it just stacks up from there. I think that's a really interesting card, kind of a slept-on unit, I feel like. I know that at the time of posting this, the ReZero collab is about to come out, so if I'm ever, like, if anybody's watching this from the future, I don't know what's happened in the game when you're watching this, but it's been a it's been a crazy year for this game. So yeah, ReZero collab's about to come out. I know this Gother is somewhat good against the ReZero collab units, so I may try to look into Super Awakening him, but at this point Super Awakening 5 is out, and that's just a lot of coins to use on a unit that I really don't know that'll get a lot of use. This one's an associated Gother. Like I can use this Gother as an associated unit while still having the upgrade Gothers on the team. So that's the only reason that this one is upgraded. I literally just boosted this like Halloween Gila because of reverse stages. Hauser, unfortunately, has been phased out of the AoE team at this point. This is sort of like a passive unit that I use, like a 4th slot every once in a while. This green Jericho, I really want to Super Awaken it. If I'm not mistaken, I literally just had a message today in the guild chat where somebody was saying that this unit is a lot of fun to use if you Super Awaken. Like with the new Super Awakening 5, it bumped up her stats quite a bit, and I think that would be fun because this is the first SSR that I got in the game, and like I went all out on this unit. Like I actually spent the 30 diamonds or whatever it is just to get this like cool Midnight Illusion blade from the shops or whatever, and people were like, no, like don't don't spend money in the shop for dumb cosmetics if you don't need to. And I was like, I want that cosmetic. So I don't know, I've always really liked Jericho as a unit. She's really cool. I'm still missing a couple of cosmetics for her, and I've obviously not messed with any of her costumes or anything like that in a long time. So yeah, I think it would be a fun unit to sort of mess around with in the future, but sort of right now, maybe not the right time. Green Helbram is very niche, very like, I think you literally just use him for his buff card because it's attack related stats. And I think that you would basically use Easton, the blue Easton, over this character because she's a little bit more useful. I haven't used this red Merlin in like ages. Unfortunate. Red Slater is honestly like absolute MVP for like these like random demonic beast sort of like events that they bring around every once in a while. Like he's so good. It's so crazy that I'm pretty sure he was in the game originally. Like he's one of the SSR or an SR unit that was in the game whenever it first came out, and his debuff skill, like it disables everything but attack skills, and it's ridiculously good. Like it's so good for PvE stuff. Green Elaine, I only have her boosted for the return of Final Boss King, so not very useful. I literally boosted her all the way up to 80 for CC on the Demon team, because if you don't know, if you have her cosmetics, you get extra cosmetic upgrades when you run demons, so that's really nice. Red Arthur is sort of like taking a backseat at this point, so has Red Escanor. I think both of them have kind of just dropped off the meta. They were really, really good when they first came out, but they came out before Super Awakening hit, and really, I just don't think anybody has like messed with them too much. I think a lot of like more free-to-play players and stuff like that may have them Super Awakened more than anything, but if you have a lot more of the like sort of like niche units, I guess, for certain events and stuff like that, or like heavy-hitting red units, I don't think that these units are really all that useful anymore. SR Blue Arthur is quite an interesting character in very certain situations, but nothing too crazy. I don't remember why I have this DN. I think I had this DN's ultimate. No, I don't guess I did. I was going to say maybe I had her ultimate higher up and was using her as an associated unit, but I don't remember what I was using this. I don't know why she's level 80, to be honest. I don't even remember doing that. So that's funny. Green Monspeet's a really, really cool unit. Honestly, kind of slept on. I think he's a really interesting, like fun unit, especially with you upgrade his ultimate and he applies more ignite stacks per ultimate level. I think that's really fun. He's insanely good with Kyo because Kyo takes a lot of advantage of using ignite. And I think, what is the other card? It's ignite and something else to do with like debuffs. But super good combo. Blue Zeldris has honestly taken a huge backseat. Red Zeldris is like just the superior one. He's much better at like controlling ultimate levels and just being an overall like really good support character, whereas this one is more meant for crit. and I think people have sort of forgotten about this unit. Like, I don't ever see anybody use this. I think he could be a lot of fun, maybe like for like a super like hyper aggressive sort of like assault mode Meliodas team. He could be really interesting to like run up on the front line just to like really like push damage out, whatever you want to do. I don't know, but even then, I don't know that he would really be able to do enough and really be enough of a threat to make them sort of like force you to attack and build up Meliodas stacks. So that's kind of interesting. I've not used this Denzel since he came out. I think he's really interesting, the fact that his stance card gives corrosion, but altogether, I just don't really think he's all that interesting of a unit. Valenti is pretty old at this point. I don't think anybody uses Valenti anymore really for anything besides every once in a while I see her in a gray demon team. Blue Easton is still pretty okay for like some support stuff. I actually use her on my red demon team to help give attack buffs for Escanor and stuff, so that's kind of fun. Roxy, unfortunate, she's really just not a whole lot of like, it's just really not very good. I think she's a really cool character. She's probably my favorite OC character, just from looks alone, but that's basically all she has going for her. The green Roxy is a little bit more interesting, but she is just kind of meh. Green Shin is pretty interesting. I think he would be kind of fun to level up at some point just because of the way his passive works, where it upgrades cards when you use 3 skills. So I think that one's kind of cool. I think it could be a fun sort of unit to mess around with on a certain team comp. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I had the idea for a team comp where you use this green Shin and this blue Gother, because he can't rank up, and you can't run another Gother that could rank up on the team. So you would run him and then green Shin to sort of like help rank up cards, and then I don't remember what else I was even going to put on the team, but I thought that could be like a fun and interesting team to try to run. Camilla, very unfortunate unit. I really think she's very cool, and she's a cool transforming unit, but they really just need to figure out what they're going to do with transforming units, or how to like make them better, or if they're going to even continue doing transforming units in the future, because there's literally only 2 transforming units, and one of them is a collab unit. So yeah, Camilla kind of got shafted a little bit. She's really just not good enough. Even when she first came out, she really just didn't do enough, I don't think. Elat's kind of interesting for certain guild boss comps. I think it's only it's not Einik and it's not Akumu, so I'm pretty sure the Kelak team uses her. Kind of interesting. We don't have the 4th guild boss yet on global, but they have added that one to the Japanese and Korean versions of the game. I'm still interested in seeing him when he comes to the global version. I think he's really like cool looking, but from my understanding, he's very hard. These 2 units are literally the same as that red Elaine, so they go in the back slot and they use their cosmetic to get more cosmetic upgrades. So I literally have them at level 80 just to help with CC on the team. Zaratros is going to be very interesting in the days to come, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they've changed it just yet on global, but if I'm not mistaken, on JP in Korea, they're changing the this skill from ranged to melee, and whenever we get the new raid boss that'll get us to level 90, I think his name is Belmoth or Belmoth, Zaratros is going to be a pretty good unit for that, from my understanding. So I don't know, could be debunked in the future. Maybe there's a better unit than him, but I think he's going to be a really fun unit to run on that. We have the Attack on Titan collab units. Aaron, this SR Aaron is really good. They ended up giving you 6/6 for him, so that's a lot of fun, honestly. Like, he can hit pretty hard. He has Shatter, and it's a single target ability, has high percentage. I think it's really great. Basically the same sort of kit as Derriere, except he doesn't have an Amplify card, which is pretty unfortunate. He can cancel stances, so that's okay in certain sort of niche sort of circumstances. But he actually is really good for fighting Unknown Race, so I think he could be really interesting for the upcoming ReZero collab that we're going to get. But yeah. Levi, I honestly just... Everybody, whenever this collab first came out, was like, oh my god, Levi's so good. And I I've tried him with so many different like compositions and stuff whenever he came out, and I just could not figure out like how to get him to work good at all. I didn't buy any of his cosmetics or anything like that, so maybe that was a reason. I ended up pulling, I got really lucky with his ultimate, so he's 3-6 out of 4-6, and I wasn't spending money on the game at the time, so yeah. I don't know, kind of a disappointing unit for me. I don't really like him a whole lot. Mikasa is really interesting. People talk about her being probably the best unit out of the AOT collab, but I really just haven't used her a whole lot, unfortunately. I would like to in the future, though. Hawk is really funny because every now and then they'll upgrade his passive to make him really, really good for PvE content. So I think that's kind of like a cool, like funny sort of unit. We have some of the KOF units. Mai is honestly the hottest unit in the game. You cannot tell me otherwise. Like, boy, like there's nothing. Shoo, boy, I just can't. There's not enough you could say about it, to be honest. She's really crazy. She's really interesting too. I like her kit a lot. Like the whole fact that you can merge cards. Like anytime her cards get upgraded, she gets buffs. And then she has an amplify card, and she can just like lower ultimate gauge. I think she's a really like viable character, but I just really don't have the resources and like the sort of like, I don't have like a good team comp that I like can think of that I would want to use her on, that I think would be good enough for me to actually invest time and effort into her, unfortunately. I actually use Athena. I think was the weakest out of the whole lineup for the KOF, but her passive is actually good enough to where I use her in Brawl, because a lot of people in Brawl use the whole gimmicky team where they'll run blue Fraudrin and try to get their Lost Vein ultimate. And I can literally just use Athena in the back line of my Lost Vein team in first slot, because most of the time their Fraudrin Lost Vein team is on their first slot. And I can literally, anytime I kill a character, which is normally Fraudrin, it'll remove 2 ultimate move gauge ores after it fills theirs up. So it literally shuts that down so they can't get their ultimate. And it's very, very helpful, actually. Like, pretty nice. Kyo is god tier, like super good. I've honestly I never spent the time to like actually invest into him. I was more worried about Rugal than anything at the time for the collab, so unfortunate. I would like to mess with him in the future though, because he's a really good collab unit. Liz, I absolutely hate this Liz. This Liz is so good for one single turn in Grey Demon, and I use her, and then my hand gets clogged up every time with her useless physical attack cards that I can't use because they're melee skills, and the Grey Demon cannot be attacked by melee skills unless he's down on the ground, and I hate it so much. She's so stupid. I hate her guts. You can't even use Liz, like Elizabeth, like UR gear on her, which doesn't make any sense. She's literally the same character. I hate her. I hate her to death, but she's good enough and interesting enough for me to run her on my Grey Demon team, so that's that. We just had the Stranger Things collab, so here's Will, the only collaboration unit from that I did not power up, and I do not plan on powering up for the foreseeable future. Maybe in the future, if I have disposable sort of materials, I may end up trying to mess with him a little bit, but he's just so, like, I don't know. He's an interesting character. I'm not going to say he's like bad by any means. I think he could be good. His passive is like a double-edged sort of sword where it's good, but at the same time it's also like it has downfalls to it, which is kind of weird. I don't know. He's an interesting unit. I just don't have any like materials to sort of invest in him and actually try to like use the character, which is unfortunate. Because with Super Awakening 5 coming out, it's just, there's so many other units that I would rather push up and be relevant on other teams than me worry about this sort of like niche kind of unit. Green Counter Melee, very interesting. I think he's going to be pretty good for the new Belmas raid as well, to be determined as far as like the global settings go. But people have been using him, I think, on the Japanese and Korean versions for that, so that's kind of cool. I spent 1 Super Awakening star on this Red Jericho whenever she first came out and have not touched the unit since. I figured I was going to actually like power her up and do a showcase on her and everything like that. Never ended up doing that, so that's literally just a wasted star on her. I may try to get her up in the future at some point because she's kind of cool. She can freeze, but sort of just like meh. Red and green Demon Meliodas are fun units. I was using this red Demon Meliodas for Hallex raids for a long time because he's actually like 30% extra damage or whatever for Hallex raids. Like he's the strong unit for it. So I was using him quite a bit, and I wanted to keep using him, but Sariel ended up just being a much better unit on the team. Unfortunately, I really like that he puts ignite stacks on. His passive is really fun. I don't know. He really just doesn't have a whole lot of use anymore. I feel like he's another one of those units. Green Demon Meliodas is also very interesting. I see a lot of like big like whaler sort of like people maxing out their Green Demon Meliodas and sort of using him to a much higher potential. And it seems like he's actually really fun, like a really interesting unit, because he has debuffs, and then at level 2 this actually becomes a debuff card as well, so they'll boost him with Demon Hendrix in the back, and they'll make him do some really crazy damage, especially with like Ludo on the team, like lowering defense and stuff on the first turn. Like I've seen him do crazy stuff, but I think he's just sort of like a gimmicky sort of like if I have the time to invest in this unit I could use him sort of thing, and I just don't really have it in me. Blue Bon is a disappointment. I used him for a while on Red Demon, but there's just better units now for it. Very disappointing. Hate to see him go, but I never really cared too much about him in the first place. We just really need a good Bon in the game besides the green Bon, one that's a little bit more useful. Whatever. Blue Lilia. I have not used Blue Lilia basically for anything unless it's just like a random, like you need her for like a final boss or something very niche like that. This unit probably got so much playtime on my account whenever Blue Demon Meliodas came out, but ever since Lost Vein came out and sort of like took the prize spot for being like the better farming unit, Lilia has taken quite the back seat, which is unfortunate because she's definitely gotten a lot of use out of my account. Blue King, still very interesting, still a very good unit, which is crazy because he's literally a free unit that you get from the game whenever you first start, if you get a little bit further in the story. Really crazy unit. His ultimate is so good. I remember when I finally maxed it out, I was so happy because it literally just does so much damage because it's an AoE shatter ability. Very good. He can petrify, he can cleanse, he can heal. It's just, the boy's got it all. He's good. Green King, I really don't get a whole lot of use out of anymore because I've kind of replaced him with the new Festival Merlin as far as Grey Demons goes. I think she's just a little bit more consistent if you can draw her single target attack, whereas King takes a little bit more build up, and it's just, I don't know, you kind of have to have like a interesting set on him. Which I think is kind of a drawback because you have to have like you have to make sure that his crit chance isn't too important because he gets that from his passive, but you want to do a good mixture of like crit damage and attack. And I don't think I did this right. I think I went all out on crit damage on this, and then I kind of did a lot of crit damage but not enough attack, even though I get 20% of extra attack from this. And it just, I don't know, it always kind of confused me. Maybe he ended up doing pretty well for a long time, but he's just been kind of overshadowed at this point. Gil Thunder's kind of a fun sort of like stalling unit, like helps you with your HP and stuff like that in PvP if you put him in the back. He's got a decent rupture skill and stuff, kind of cool. I really don't ever use this green Merlin anymore, which is kind of fun for like ult rush teams. Blue SSR Arthur is like low-key one of my favorite units in the game. Just a fun sort of like crit-based unit. Very fun to use in like geared PvP. I don't know if you could really use them too much nowadays with there being like 2 big green units in the meta, but still a cool unit. I like him a lot. PvE God Arthur. He's very good for PvE stuff, of course. Blue Demon Meliodas, kind of just taking the back burner, like I said, from Lost Vein. Green Deanne was a really fun one to see sort of hit the meta with like the one Escanor coming out and everything like that, because when she came out, everybody was like, wow, like she's really lackluster, like don't worry about getting her, you can always get her in the future. And then I didn't have her for the longest time, and I finally pulled her, and I've actually pulled her enough now where I've got her maxed to ultimate, which is really nice because it helps for CC and stuff. I don't think I have enough costumes and stuff like that to really maximize her potential for CC, but she's cool. I like her a lot. She has the whole like taunt, and even like if you go second, she still has like the one turn taunt or whatever. So I don't know. She's a cool unit. Green Escanor's still god tier, like absolute beast as a green unit. He can do so much damage. Still good in certain scenarios. I don't get a whole lot of use out of him anymore, but whenever there is a decent time to use him, he's always fun to use. Blue Galland, I powered him up more recently to use on the Assault Mode Melee team. He's kind of like a fun niche kind of unit. Very RNG based though, so it's kind of like a hit or miss on that one. Red Gloxenia is another sort of unit that is really fun to use, but maybe not the most practical. Green Droll is he was really fun to use whenever he first came out. I don't really use him anymore. Blue Droll has kind of taken the spotlight as far as Droll units goes. Blue Derriere is really fun to use. I still really like her a lot. She's like more supporty, can remove buffs. Just an interesting unit, I think, more than anything. So she's really fun to use though. Estarossa is still god tier in PvE. This Blue Valenti, I hate that I maxed her out, but I literally pulled her enough times to where I didn't have to worry about paying extra for Super Awakening at the time, so I did that, and I literally only used her for the final boss that she was good for, and that was it. Green Easton is a fun unit. Like, I think she's got like a good single target ability, but other than that, eh. Red Easton is very eh. Like, I kind of regret spending Super Awakening coins on her. Blue Mono is okay for certain PvE stuff. She's really not as good as I would hope she would be, but she's kind of fun for certain things, I guess. Green Roxy's a really cool and interesting unit, but I think she just ends up coming up a bit short and just ends up being a little lackluster. Red Shin was kind of fun to use whenever he first came out, but has definitely dropped off. Titan Aaron is really cool as a unit, although transforming units still have the sort of, you know, they just really aren't utilized very well. Like, you can't, the having to build up your ultimate move gauge twice to really get like a big attack off sucks. Like, it just, they need to do something with transforming units if they're planning on doing more of them in the future. Demon Hendrickson is really good. His passive's great. Very good for the Winged King team, even though the Winged King team kind of has just fallen off. People don't really use it at all anymore. Unfortunate. I think he's a really cool unit. Rugal, he was great for Pierce. he's got a really nice passive too, because he heals himself if he drops below 50%. But yeah, altogether, eh. Like, he's good for sure, but eh. Very niche, I guess. Hawkinazo is by far one of my favorite, like, fun sort of gimmicky units to use. I really enjoy running him with Estarossa and stuff, and like lowering stats beyond the point of you know, like return, where they're doing like 0 damage to you. I think that is hilarious. So fun to use. This new red winged Elaine, golden wings Elaine, absolute regret. I literally just upgraded her because I had some extra Super Awakening coins whenever she came out, and I thought it would be hilarious, and it turned out to be just a huge letdown. Like, I knew it was going to be, and I'm stupid. I should have saved my materials for it. Nanashi, I really don't use him at all. I know a lot of people can get use out of him for like a sub-slot unit, but I just really don't know. I really just don't use him. He is an unknown race, so he may actually be kind of fun to use with some of the newer stuff coming out soon, but probably not, to be honest. Mark II Valenti is awesome. I really love the design of this character. Unfortunately, I think in the time that she released in the meta, unless you were just really like gonna like just fully invest in the character, she was kind of lackluster and just not really worth investing in or going for. I went for her because I really liked the character. So yeah, I don't regret getting her. I think she's really cool and fun, but I've honestly just not used her since like the first week or two that she came out. Red Melascula, god tier for the Assault Mode Meliodas team. Blue Droll, literally the Assault Mode Meliodas team, like MVP, like absolute legend until Chandler and the new Zeldris come out. Zeldris also very good. He's even actually like really good without using other commandments. Like every once in a while I see people run him in the back slot of certain teams, which I think is really funny. But he's just a good like control unit, good support, like altogether just a really nice unit. Death Pierce. Death Pierce is so funny because he's such a bad unit, but his passive is so good for crit teams that it makes him a good unit. So it's really fun. Like, it sucks because he's actually good. And that's crazy to me. 11, she's, very, very good. Gem Hopper, I think is, for right now, I really don't like Gem Hopper, but I think he has a lot of potential in the future to be really good with collab teams and stuff. Mike Wheeler is absolute ass. Like, just a real, just bad unit, honestly. Like, I regret more than anything investing in this unit. I really wish I would have did Will instead of him. Or just didn't do either of them at all. Instead, I did it, and I regret it, honestly. Big waste of materials there. Ludo, absolute champion, still my representative unit. Fantastic unit. I've been using him as my representative unit pretty much since he came out. There was like a couple of days where I used this Valenti and maybe some other units just messing around with it, but I've always kind of just gone back to Ludo. My favorite Archangel for sure. Tarmiel, insane support unit, very good. Wing King, I think he's really fun. I like his design a lot. I think he's a really interesting character. I love that he uses damage over time skills and stuff like that. But unfortunately, he has just dropped off in the meta and become basically useless. It kind of sucks. It's very sad because he is a festival unit, which every other festival unit is better than him, basically. It's really disappointing. Lolly Merlin's really cool. I don't know if it was really worth me going all the way to the 900 mark to get her instead of just saving for more relevant stuff in the future. But I like Festival Merlin. I get a lot of use out of her so far with the Grey Demon team and everything like that. She's fun. She's cool. I like her a lot. Both Gothers, absolute god tier. Green Gothers obviously a little bit better, but I wish they would give this character out a little bit more often, like put him in more banners, just make him a little bit more accessible, because the fact that he's a Halloween like seasonal unit, and people really just can't get their hands on him if they don't already have him, so that sucks. Lost Vein, still very, very good. He's taken quite a bit of a backseat in the meta with Escanor coming out and everything like that, but he's still really good for a lot of PvE stuff, a lot of PvP stuff, so yeah. Derriere, absolute legend. I love her to death. Still probably one of my favorite units in the game. Amplify, does crazy damage. Very, very good. I love Red Derriere. Fantastic. A1. Goddess Liz, worst mistake they've ever done. I cannot believe how great she is. And like she's really good to the point to where she's too good. Like, she honestly needs to be nerfed, and I full-heartedly stand behind that statement. I really wish they would nerf her a little bit, because she is like so crazy good for any team that you put her on. It's ridiculous. Sariel, fantastic unit, farming legend, absolute PvE god. You can literally use him in anything PvE, and I'm actually using him in PvP at the moment, and he's very fun to use. Escanor, crazy good, super high damage. Obviously, he needs no introduction. He's, big bad unit on campus. Legend, absolute legend. So, yeah. Other than that, we have the last man, which is Assault Mode Meliodas. Definitely one of my favorite characters in the game. I'm more of a Assault Mode Meliodas fan than I am the one Escanor fan, but just personal preference there. I really like Assault Mode Meliodas. He's so cool. Very fun unit as well. Like, I like the whole gimmick where he builds up stacks, does insane damage. I think that's really fun. So yeah, that's basically the whole box. We've hit 4 mil. We could be way higher. I think if I invested a lot more and sort of you grinded more demons out and got a lot of these characters up higher from level 60 to level 80 and stuff like that. I've been honestly I don't think I could do any more than I'm already doing as far as Super Awakening characters goes. But you know, it is what it is. So I don't know when I'll do another one of these. It's obviously been quite a while, and they're only going to get longer. It seems like the last one was about 28 minutes, and this one is quite a bit longer than that. So I don't really know if this was worth your time, or if you even sat through the whole thing. But if you did, hey, congrats. This is this is my account. Hope you liked it. So I guess this shows a lot of progress as far as like the last several months that I've put into the game. So thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more content in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video.